Hi, I'm Debra Werner, SpaceNews Silicon Valley correspondent, back with another Leading Women interview. This is a series for Space News, highlighting some of the extraordinary women working in the space sector. My guest today is Chiara Manfletti, Neuraspace CEO. Welcome, Chiara. Please tell us a little bit about Neuraspace and your role there.
Yes, thank you very much for having me. So Neuraspace is a 3-year-old startup. We currently have about 30 people, and we currently actually support now more than about 300 satellites. And what we do is we help spacecraft operators in making sure that their operations remain effective and efficient, while also considering space traffic management considerations. So I like to talk about the company as supporting automated operations based on SSA, STM, actionable intelligence. And my role, well, I'm the CEO. So if something goes wrong, my head rolls. That's the role.
You've had an interesting career trajectory. What prompted you to establish a startup in the space sector after serving as a DLR program manager, advisor to the ESA Director General, and the first president of Portugal Space?
So maybe just strictly speaking, one correction. I didn't establish Neuraspace. I was brought on board very, very early on by the founder himself, Nuno Sebastião, who's CEO of another company. And he's chairman of the board, and he's an investor in Neuraspace. But he brought me in very early on to lead the company. But still, the question is, why did I go from very secure, high-paid jobs to a startup, which is a risky business in a sense? And throughout my activities, both at DLR, at ESA, and at Portugal Space, I've always shined with wanting to do stuff quickly, being quite dynamic. And especially when I started working at ESA and then leading the Portuguese Space Agency, it was clear to me that we have to start doing space differently, meaning that we have to have companies that are able to make a profit from a commercial sector, which isn't just institutionally funded via grants, but there's a business that we're growing. And when I was in both of these roles, I also kept on, urging companies to see also government agencies and as an investor, right? So when I was at Portugal Space, I was saying, okay, don't tell me half the story of how you're going to do a phase A study, but tell me the whole story. What is the product that you're developing? And how is the government as an investor going to get a return from this, right? So what's the whole story? What are you going to develop? And see me as an investor. And I really wanted to instill the sense of the trip for space has to evolve. And so going to, on the one hand, going to the commercial sector was a natural next step because I'd explored all the other dimension, if you will. But then going to a startup meant moving to an untarnished, if you will. I know it's a strong word, but an untarnished part of space, right? Because established space companies already have established ways of interacting with agencies, with the institutional sector. And I wanted to do something to contribute to, I guess, new space and grow that and grow a new market, grow the new market that is also space domain awareness, SSA, space traffic management. So, yeah.
I understand you also are a professor. What do you teach and where?
So I teach at the Technical University of Munich in Germany, and I teach. So the professorship is called Space Mobility and Propulsion. So I teach about propulsion systems. I will be teaching soon about also space environment and space domain awareness. I teach about orbital mechanics. I teach about the space environment already. So these are the elements that I teach. But I also teach students to learn how to be well-rounded engineers with a set of skills which go beyond just the academics. So, yeah.
What are some of those skills?
Well, being able to interact in teams and not just being an individual that can't work in teams. Being able to deep dive in the technical aspects and explain to someone else what it is that you've done, and do so in a way that's compelling and not completely boring, for which engineers are known. To be concise in the explanations that you give. These are just some of the skills. Understanding that there isn't just an engineering perspective, understanding that there isn't just the engineering perspective of the small system that you're developing, but there's a system perspective, and the system includes also business and economic dimensions and legal dimensions. So I try and support the growth of students to be the wonderful employees that we need, direly need, and want in companies and organizations in space.
Great. So Neuraspace is focused on space situational awareness and space traffic management. Why did you want to focus on those areas or work for a company focused on that?
Yeah, so this actually goes back to when I first started in Portugal. We were setting up the new strategy for the country, and what I was, presenting to the minister and the government was, there are new markets that are coming up. There aren't any established players. These markets, specifically, I was referring to the general term space safety, which entails SSA, STM, and much more space weather as well. These markets are not established. There aren't very many big players. They are a necessity for the space economy to grow further. I mean, if we want to do something in space, then safety and security and sustainability are key. Otherwise, we won't fulfill that potential and go beyond. And the idea that even in countries which have less financial viability in terms of supporting companies, you move the world with thoughts first, and then money comes in. So addressing space safety specifically was something which for me became clear would have to be a priority. And then understanding that this would be a commercial market that would develop a lot faster than other markets had done before, for a number of reasons. So the opportunities are the fact that we need to tackle this because of the wider need of the space ecosystem and economy. The challenge is the market isn't established yet, but that too is an opportunity, right? Because growing a startup and doing that product market fit is complicated. Growing a team, nurturing that team, and the team nurturing itself and becoming experts is a challenge. Not having a market around you is something that people will always ask, even VCs and other players will ask. But then you get to shape that market as you grow. So that early mover disadvantage that some people see as a disadvantage or seen by others as an advantage, and I certainly see it also as an advantage.
Are artificial intelligence and machine learning important to your business and to the space safety question overall?
Yeah, I believe they certainly are for a number of reasons, really. So the wider vision, I think, is that in space, if we want to unleash the full potential of space, we will have to address sustainability on one hand, but autonomy on the other hand as well. And a key enabler for autonomy certainly are AI and machine learning. And Neuraspace has both already features of its product which rely on AI. So it's very much an AI-driven product that we have. AI isn't just a buzzword for us to get attention. But as I said, on the other hand, we have a long roadmap of other things that we want to do because we see the potential, with all of the difficulties associated, of course, that there are with this new field, but that there's a lot of potential with AI and machine learning. So I don't know, should I give you a couple of examples,
Yeah,
Debra,
I'd love
of
that.
what we're doing? So we're working on a couple of things which I mentioned quite frequently. One is called taxonomy of resident space objects. And that is, if you want to be able to describe objects in space, understand their behavior, predict, future behaviors based on whatever criteria, you need to be able to describe describe them, right? And distinguish them from one another and distinguish their relative behaviors. So developing a taxonomy, which is exactly that, being able to distinguish one from the other, is key. And what we've done, and we're continuing to develop, is an AI-based taxonomy, which enables us to identify which criteria are critical in describing and identifying the behaviors of different space objects that are resident in orbit. And that's something that will help us improve not just our understanding of these objects, but also help us improve all other models that we will develop. So that's one thing. And we are actually also hoping that this is going to be something that the community will take. So we want to contribute this to the community. It's not something that we will hold on to selfishly for ourselves. So that's one example. But we've gone off and we've also, developed AI and machine learning algorithms for prediction of uncertainties of where the objects will be over time, going towards a time of closest approach. And we have, we're looking into space weather predictions, difficult topic, conjunction analysis, conjunction recognition, similarity analysis, anomaly detection. These are all things where, again, pattern recognition is something where AI can really support and help. Not easy, but it can be done, and we're doing it.
Great. At the Space Symposium, you were on a panel discussing generative AI. Now, I imagine that's further out for the space sector, but where do you see potential there?
Well, many of the things that I've mentioned can also sort of is where also generative AI can help, right? And as I was mentioning also at the beginning, if we want to go towards autonomy, then we will certainly have to look into these types of AI methods. So there's so much potential that we still have to unleash in space. And autonomy is key, and AI will help us get to autonomy, and generative AI is part of that for sure.
Beyond space safety, do you see other important applications for AI in the space sector?
Well, yeah, certainly. I mean, AI is being used for many things, also mission design, optimization of mission analysis. It's being used for, I mean, even for basic things, which is more, space is becoming a big, wide topic of knowledge, and large language models can also help us navigate this body of knowledge a lot easier if we know how to, question tools properly to help us, understand that body of knowledge. So there's many dimensions where AI can certainly help. It's not just space safety, right? Any domain, from Earth observation, communications, telecommunications, can certainly be helped, right? I mean, one of the things that is going to be incredibly, and we're already seeing it, is communications and multi-orbit, multi-asset driven, be it data that one gets or communication services that one provides, being able to optimize an entire system, which has become very complex and which is federated. That's also where AI can certainly help, right?
Yes. Yes. One thing I was curious about, historically, entrepreneurs have told me that it was harder to obtain venture capital in Europe than it was in the United States, especially the Silicon Valley startups. What has your experience been with raising money?
So I have to say, Neuraspace is a bit of a different kind of startup, in the sense that we do have a diverse team with some more established and known players already. So when you first raise funds, it's all about the team. I think we had a very good and mature team, and therefore I think it may have been easier for us. Nuno being an established person who's already brought a company to becoming a unicorn. His company is called Fitsai, and it does fraud detection for banks. And financial entities, right? And this company, Fita, is a unicorn. So he's an established person in his field. I am not unknown in space. So that certainly helped. But going back to the topic, I do believe that there's less VC funds for sure in Europe than US. I think this gap hasn't gone away. Actually, I was reading a recent report published by, I think it was the World Economic Forum working together with McKinsey, and they also project the space economy to grow to 1.8 trillion by 2035. And they do share some metrics around VC funds in the last, let's say, 3 or 4 years. And we do see that most VC funds have gone to a handful of companies, and these companies are in US. So I think that answers the question.
Yes. Yes.
Having said that, Deborah, I do believe that VCs are becoming very well also aware of the topic that we're dealing with, and I think it's clear to many of them that we're working on a technology and methodologies that are going to be important for the entire ecosystem. So when they approach me, they share this understanding and that we have as well, which makes at least the first approach very, very simple in that sense, and we're very, very quickly on the same page in that sense.
Yes, on the importance of space safety and how it underpins everything else. Recruiting and retaining talent is also something that people talk to me about all the time. How has that been for Neuraspace?
Well, I have to say the Neuraspace team, we call ourselves Neuronauts. It's a wonderful team. They're amazing, each and every one of them. They all bring sort of different perspectives. As I said, we're a diverse team. I can't say that hiring's been difficult in the sense that obviously the more the company's known, the easier it is to have vacancies which have lots of respondents reply to them. But you need the right combination of resilience, of willingness to do something completely new, the risk associated with being in a startup, the roller coaster ride, which is both bonus and sometimes not so much of being in a startup. So you need a combination of skill and mindset, which is quite unique. That makes it, I think, slightly more, let's say, challenging. But at the same time, it's always wonderful to discover people that even may have not known that they have this wish to do and go and capture something new, right? I see in interviews when I explain to them the vision and what we're trying to do, you can see the twinkle in the eyes. It's yeah, it's amazing.
So what is that vision that you explain to them?
Well, it's about having a sustainable circular economy in space where spacecraft are fully autonomous, where the human isn't in the loop if it doesn't have to be, of us producing elements in space and manufacturing in space, assembling in space, harvesting resources. So basically the extension of space as if it were the fourth dimension of transport and everything else, right? It's just the extension of Earth. And yeah, it fascinates people for sure.
Yes. Do you have advice for people entering the field? We have this stereotype of white male engineers. Do you have advice for people coming in that don't fit that stereotype?
Just do it. Go for it. Yeah. That would be just my advice if you if these people find the space field and these topics very interesting, there's not much that can stand in their way. I always say if there's a will, there's a way, for sure.
Great. You've covered my questions. Was there anything else you wanted to say?
Well, Deborah, I think generally a message that I always like to pass is that when we talk about space safety and sustainability, and I think I've probably mentioned this to you before, as we sometimes talk. There's an environmental dimension to all of this, but there's certainly an economic dimension as well, which is sometimes not emphasized enough. And when we read economic reports, and I know it's hard on sort of estimating the impact of space activities themselves, of debris or additional action. But there's a tremendously important economic dimension to what it is that the field has to offer. And I think it would be extremely important that we never forget this and that we push for a better understanding of what this means. I think space is still very much seen sometimes as a bubble. And there isn't that interconnection between, let's say, all sectors in space quite yet. It's getting better and better. But I do wish that we manage to, let's say, break this bubble a bit, bring space to be so much more interconnected with all other sectors and understand the economic dimension associated with that. And then, as I said, with space safety and sustainability, and for all entities sort of to work together to push for space safety and sustainability, even though we know that putting in place regulatory aspects could be quite difficult. So those are always words that I like to spread out to the world if I can. So thanks.
Yes, well, thank you for your time. It's a pleasure talking to you as always.
Thank you, Deborah. Thanks to you.